Good morning. Happy Sunday. This is the first of my political podcast that I will post each and every Saturday or Sunday until the November 4th elections down here for Wentworth, Georgia. In the 23rd Psalms, God promised that he will prepare a table for us in the presence of our enemies. In the 35th Psalm, God also promised that he would take his spear and his javelin and fight our enemies for us. And also that the same traps that our enemies set for them, for me, that they will get caught up in their own snares. So, with that being said, anybody know anything about fishing? The way you catch a fish is you get them on the hook, you reel them in, let the line go, you reel them in, so you let them run and tire themselves out, and then you reel them in. So, for the last 10 days, I've purposely allowed and not commented on the Facebook video posted by Julius Hall and ATR and Councilwoman Austin Cone, or at least Austin Cone, Gabby, and Marcelo Stewart, and Thomas Barbie, and Rufus, and Michael Stevens, pretty much all of the city council members, right? Because one, they did me a favor. They did me a huge favor. One of the things that, if you notice, whenever you go back and look at the video, my 5th, 14th, and 4th Amendments were violated by not only the Port Wentworth Police Department, but the Chatham County Police Department. Officer Hardy, to be exact, right? Because one, you arrested me without cause. There was no probable cause. If there's an ongoing investigation, there can't be no probable cause. Didn't have any warrants or anything for me. So they arrested me, and they didn't read me into my Miranda rights. But then also, they seized me and my mom's property, our family's property. All right, because 4th Amendment is illegal search and seizure. So, your city council members, current city council members, weaponized, right? The Port Wentworth Police Department, the Chatham County Police Department, the Georgia State Patrol, right? The Georgia State Wildlife and Fishing Wardens, pretty much the resources of the city, the county, and the state. They weaponized them against not just me, right? Also against my 87-year-old neighbor next door, Louise. They weaponized it against her as well, right? For what they try to say is obstruction. But how can you obstruct something when there's no legal document, right? I ask several of them over and over, have you read whatever easement or right of way that you are supposed to be enforcing? They all say no. Every single one of them said no. Right? So again, how can the police and the county and the state troopers and the game wardens are supposed to be out here to protect and serve, right? Supposed to be out here to protect and serve, but you don't even know what you are protecting and serving, right? Because you're going off of what's been alleged, an alleged document, as opposed to what you actually read, what you actually saw. So again, you don't have any probable cause over something that you actually saw. But either way, all right. And then Mark Stevens, who really knows nothing about this area, right? he decides to post and try to go on about an alleged easement that Georgia Power is trying to say that they have over my family's property, right? What the dummy don't know is when you actually read it, right, it's dated 1986. The only pole that covers is one pole. And that's that light pole right there. Right there. That's it. That easement doesn't cover any other poles on the property, right? Because that agreement was done between Savannah Power, right? Georgia Power wasn't even established down here at that time, and therefore they don't have any easement. Even these power lines wasn't even built until like 2004, because the substation down there wasn't built until around 2004. So again, who's lying about what? But don't worry, they'll have that chance to actually explain that before a federal judge, right? A federal judge, because since I'm a Maryland resident, we got to go before a federal judge. So, Georgia Power, Port Wentworth, Chatham County, state of Georgia, they'll have their chance to deal with that before a federal judge. Now, my point in talking today is really to inform all the citizens of Port Wentworth about an actual case that's going on tomorrow morning, right? So, for those who are not aware, and most of us are not, because the city has not made any public notice about it, the city has not had any public meetings about it or anything, right? But, so the city of Port Wentworth is trying to get a bond issuance passed here in the city, right? They are trying to get a $25 million Series A bond and a $22 million Series 2 bond, right? But also, the bond and the way that they wrote it, it's not just limited to the $25 million and the $22 million that they're asking for, right? It's a open bond issuance in which they only have to go to the state once, and they will only have to go before have publicly notice it once. And from that time, if this bond issuance is approved, right, the city of Port Wentworth would actually have a revolving line of credit of revenue bond issuances that goes to the burden of the taxpayers. And we don't have any input on it, right? Purposely, right? And so your sitting council members purposely did it that way. So Gabby, Arlise, Mark, Barbie, Randall, Gary, Rufus, all of them, right? Right? Because they had to approve the bond issuance, right? But again, there's been no public notice. There's been no public meeting. And so when they presented it to the state, our Madam DA actually brought it to the attention of the judge. And so there is a court case, the state of Georgia versus the city of Port Wentworth, right? And tomorrow morning at 8:45 in the Gaskin Courtroom 3C, right, down at the new courthouse downtown, right, before Judge Tammy Stokes, right, that's where the first hearing is about this, right? And Judge Stokes also thankfully required the city of Port Wentworth to actually now post this in the newspaper, right? Because before it wasn't even posted in the newspaper, right? Again, but in reading it, not only are they, so they're doing it under the skies, right? That all of this is to pay for Anchor Park, right? Everything that's going on, that's being built at Anchor Park, infrastructure and all that. But here's the thing. When you read it, and I'll post it, right? So for everybody can read it for yourself. And you read it, right? You got it listed in there for Anchor Park, right? You got it listed in there for us to issue a bond to also pay for a fire station, right? The fire station's already there and built. So why do we need a bond to pay for the fire station in Anchor Park when it's already there and built? Right? It costs us, what, $14 million just to do it. Right? And Truist Bank already has that loan. So again, that's already funded. right? But then also in the language, they also have in the language that these bond issuances allow the city of Port Wentworth to acquire land to also build industrial warehouses, right? And listen, there's no limit to the bond, right? The revenue bond that we're supposed to pay. And here's the kicker, right? Even within this bond, when you read through it, and you have to read through it closely, right? Even within this bond issuance, they say that they're using the revenues to pay back whatever the debt service is on the bond, right? To the owner of the bonds, right? Now, the revenue bonds, right? They claim to have it based on revenue coming off of Anchor Park, but yet the Ghost Pirates and Zoya Sports and everyone else, like, they retain all of the revenue that's coming off of those facilities, right? So where is the Anchor Park revenue coming from, right? And this is a general obligation bond, meaning that, right, this will become a general obligation of the city of Port Wentworth for the next 30 years, and plus that over that 30-year time frame, right? Because they have it going from 2025, estimated will go from 2025 to 2055, but as a general obligating debt, right? That means this becomes something that the city of Port Wentworth, right, is now on the hook for, right? And then they want to give property over to the Port Wentworth Development Authority, which is a private entity. Look at how it's structured, right? Have you looked at how it's structured? Have you looked at how the Port Wentworth Development Authority is structured, right? The answer is no, right? Why? Because the city purposely has not released any information about it. Have you seen it? Nope. Have you seen a website about it? Right? We don't know who the board members are, the executive directors. We've seen no operating agreement, right? But then as a private entity, how are we giving public resources, public assets, right, that are the taxpayers, right, over to a public entity? So, again, there are a lot of red flags, and Madam DA, Shalina, she's Miss Jones, I'm sorry, DA Jones, she's doing a great job with bringing the state in front of this, because at this point, like, they've actually breached their fiduciary duty and their oath of office, because they're hiding this information from the taxpayers, right? Because when there is no substantial revenue to pay for whatever these revenue bonds come from, right? The only thing that they could really do is institute taxes, right? Now, the warehouses ain't paying no tax, right? Because the warehouses, right, when you look at it, the warehouses are actually situated up under nonprofit entities, which are non-taxable. So they're not collecting any money off of the taxes there, right? In addition to that, right, they don't have any, there's not enough retail or commercial tax base that's coming through, right? They got a hotel motel tax. That still is not going to be enough to pay the debt, the debt service on loans for these revenue bonds, right? So where else do you think they're going to try to get these tax dollars from, other than the property owners, by instituting a property tax, right? That they're going to now say we're obligated to pay, right? Because we have to pay now, because we have to now pay this debt, right? It's a property tax. That's the only revenue that they can show that they have, right? That's actually going to be substantial enough But again, they're not calling it a property tax within the documents. They're not even identifying what the revenue is that's going to pay back for the revenue bonds. Right? But again, they're making it a general obligation of the city of Port Wentworth. Yeah. So your city council members. So yeah, everybody in Rice Creek, Rice Hope, Saucy Road, Barron Road, everybody over here on the outside in District 1. So yes, Gabrielle Nelson is pushing to institute, like literally when you read it, it is a property tax. It's exactly what it's going to be. Right? Arlise too. Arlise and Barbie, they're citywide. That's what they're pushing to be. But hey, don't take my word for it. Read the documents. Show up. Right? Show up. Show up to court at 8:45 tomorrow. Right? Gaskin Courtroom 3C, right there before Tammy Stokes, and hear it for yourself. Right? Because of course, yes, me and my mom and some others, we are opposing it because again, the taxpayers don't know about it. Right? If they want to institute a revenue bond and obligate the taxpayers to pay for anything, all right, you do a referendum and you put it on the ballot. Put it on the ballot. We got a vote coming up here in November, right? So give just like they can't institute the slosh funds and the T slosh and the E slosh and all of that without putting it on the ballot and the constituents vote for it. It's the exact same thing, right? But again, they don't want to do that. Why they don't want to do that? Because they're all in cahoots with the developers, right? Whether it's the warehouse developers, whether it's all of these apartment developers, right? Whether it's housing developers, right? Whether it's retail, whatever it is, right? But especially the industrial warehouses, right? Because again, why would you have, even if this bond was exclusively meant for Anchor Park, exclusively, right? Why would you actually have in there industrial warehouses? Ain't no industrial warehouses nowhere near Anchor Park that the city has any involvement in. The city of Port Wentworth. But okay. Look, read it for yourself, right? I've attached the information, right? So you can read the whole court document, right? So you'll see the Google links there. But look, City of Port Wentworth, it's time for change, man. It's time for change. So, hey, remember, Georgia Benton, my mother, she's running for mayor. LaShawn Benton, she's running for city council against Gabrielle here for District 1 because we need change. Because they all lying to us, right? They all think we're ignorant, like we can't read, like we can't comprehend, right? And again, they're all weaponizing the resources of the city against the taxpayers when we are the masters, right? That's exactly how the language is written in the Georgia Constitution, paragraph 1, right? They are trustees to us. Those are all of our assets, right? But again, well, read it now. Read it for yourself. I don't want you to say LaRae said no. Go and read it for yourself. All right? You have a blessed day.